Welcome to Spain. Buenos dias, Tanya. ¿Qué tal?
Buenos dias. I'm doing very well
You're doing
overall.
very well. Very
Mm-hmm.
well.
Muy
Okay.
buen. Yep.
And do you, perchance, have an Spain for us today?
I have a Spain moment.
Uh-oh.
This was on several days ago because we've talked before a little bit about package delivery, and because I've been traveling a bit, and I thought it might make sense to have a package that I had ordered delivered and left at the drop off point that we've talked about, right? And then you can go pick it up whenever you want.
Right,
Rather
right.
than having them be here and me not be here and blah 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 or whatever, or them throwing it over the fence and Blaze eating it. Like there's so many things that can happen that I was like,
Right.
this time I'm just gonna have it stay there and I'll go get it, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for those who have maybe been listening to our episodes, we had a big holiday, October 9th, just now.
Right.
And that landed right when I traveled and I came back and then October 9th was a Thursday, and I
Thursday,
came
yeah.
back on a Tuesday night, and it was Wednesday, and I had already got a notice saying you only have till like this date to pick up your package, which is what you get. You get like a text message, no problem. It's probably like a week or two. Like it's
Yes.
plenty of time, okay? Plenty of
Right.
time. But of course, I had been traveling, so it wasn't plenty of time. I was like, oh, I need to get it tomorrow, which is Wednesday. No problem. I got the whole day. I won't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked up the thing, and it was we close at 1:30, and it was like 12. And I was
Okay.
like, oh my God, I've got to get down. And I looked at it, and it's like, oh, they don't open again. And then I was like, well, maybe they're not going to open tomorrow because it's October 9th. And then it's Friday, which is like another holiday. And then it's the weekend. So they're probably not open then either. So then that's Monday. And then it ran over my date.
Right, right.
So after having loads and loads and loads of time, I suddenly had no time to pick up
So
this
you're like, oh,
package.
shoot. You're running out the door
Yeah.
to get this package from a place that seems so convenient
So
that suddenly
convenient.
wasn't.
And it never crossed my mind, and I should have, I've lived here 5 years now. It should have crossed my mind that they may not open again after 1:30, you know?
And that's a country thing. I don't
That's
think we find that often in the city.
no.
Now, I will say in the city, you may find places that would not open after 1:30 if it's on a Friday in the
That makes
summer,
sense.
and
Yeah.
maybe a Friday before the holiday.
Yeah, and maybe
But
if
1:30 every day of the
every
week,
day of the week and
I'm
not
gonna say
open
no.
on Saturdays and Sundays. So we're talking this is a nice work week. I mean, we're talking Monday to Friday from 9:30 to 1:30. I don't know how
Right.
you get that job, but so that was my
Let me know if there's a
Spain.
help wanted sign, because
Yeah,
I'll take that job.
there you go. So that was my Spain. That was definitely a Spain moment. I'm like flying down there to try and get this thing before they close. And there's no parking in that area either. So once I got down there, I'm just frantic. It was
So yeah, you can't throw someone out of the car and say
so
go do it
unnecessary.
because
Yeah, I should
you're
have
alone on this
taken Blaze
journey.
down there and like, go over there. I haven't trained her that well yet. Maybe that's something I should train her to do.
I think people train their dogs to go to the post office. You could
For
do that.
sure.
You put a
Yeah.
little saddle on her. She's good to
Hmm.
go.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. All right.
Well, that
Well,
doesn't really lead us into today's topic.
no, we're talking really fun, relaxing things today.
Kind of, I like to think it's like our 10 off the beaten path things to do
Hmm.
in Valencia that maybe the guidebooks don't tell you, and people who live here don't know about, right? And
Yeah, we wanted
it's
to find some things that maybe people haven't heard about, and at
hmm
least some of them. So this is our sort of quirky list, or things that we've done that we think you might like.
yeah, I think so. So since this is kind of our like kind of walking tour thing of Valencia or quirky things to do, is you're going to be you need to be well fed to take
Hmm.
on the day, and this is one of my favorite places in this city, and I've taken you there,
Hmm.
and it's called Kiosk La Pergola.
It's a very cute little place. We had a really delicious almuerzo. I'm not sure we carried
Right.
on and did anything else that interesting that day, but
No, we were a little
it
full.
would be a good place to start. Very
So
nice
they had
people
these
there too.
very nice people, and they have these very large bocadillos for a very inexpensive price, and they're like €5 a piece.
Hmm.
And what I love about this place is it's filled with locals. Like there's people lined up. It kind of feels to me, I like to consider like what the Katz's Deli is to Manhattan for Jewish delis. I feel like
Hmm.
this place is to Valencia for the bocadillo, right? This
Oh,
is like
nice.
a
Yeah.
tried and true place that it's been there for a very, very long time, and it's outside, and the Alameda is like next to the Torrilla, but it is like a park itself, right? It's this wide boulevard with this huge median with fountains and cafes and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and so I love it because you can sit outside, but there's like the culture to it, right? There's
Yeah.
the if you want a table, you have to wait, put your name on the list. But if you're willing to brave, lurk, and and be a predator, you can circle around the counter and sit at the bar, but you have to
Oh,
wait for
okay.
someone to leave, and you can pounce on those
It's
seats.
very fancy that they have a list. I will say out in the country here, you just wait around until the table comes up, survival of the fittest, whatever, you know.
Right. Oh, what I have to tell you, which I noticed this first time because I didn't wasn't paying attention when I'd been before, and I never sat at the bar. It's a different price if you have a table or if you're at the
Oh,
bar. It's like a
interesting.
25-cent difference. Like it's
Oh.
cheaper to sit at the bar because I
Well, they
guess
don't
you're
have to
not getting a
serve you,
waiter.
right? I
Yeah,
mean, as quite so far, all the way
right.
outside. It's not a big place. It's not like it's a
No, it's a
gigantic place.
kiosk. It's called kiosk. It's a tiny
I
little.
mean, it's a proper little restaurant. When you say kiosk American wise, that sounds like it's a standalone thing, which it's not. It's its
Right,
own little restaurant, but it's quite
right.
small. I mean, it's a
It's
normal
quite
size for a
small.
Spanish restaurant, but
But there
not
is
big.
the kiosk thing. Remember, right next to the
Hmm.
restaurant, that's where they're actually making the bocadillos. They're not making them inside the
Yeah.
restaurant. They're doing it from that little kiosk thing that sits
Right.
outside the restaurant. Remember
Yeah.
that? So anyway, I just like to mention it because I think it's I've taken people there that haven't been there, and it's
Hmm.
kind of like and it's an
It's
experience.
going to
You
be
know what I mean?
it's going to be very Spanish experience, I think, and it's traditional Spanish food, and yeah, it was very cute. It was nice. Yeah.
And what about you in the country? If you don't have to
Well,
come
I
down
was
here,
gonna
do you have
say
a favorite
we
place?
have one we have a place out in Nacro which I would highly recommend if you're coming out this way. Like maybe you're gonna take a car and go hiking and you want like a really big sandwich. We have a place called El Pastoret in Nacra, and
Hmm.
it is known for their baguette long sandwiches, bocadillos,
Hmm.
like baguette long, so huge. And they
Right,
also do serve
right.
other things, but it is big, a big Almuerzo place as well, where everyone stops by, gets these giant sandwiches. And what was on top of that, the sandwiches are very good. They also have very interesting ingredients. You can get like fried, marinated Iberian pig ear. You can get horse meat
Yum.
sandwiches. You can get shredded pork knuckle. You can get obviously the offal, a variety of
Hmm.
offal sandwiches.
Isn't it funny how awful sounds like awful?
I
I'm just gonna put
probably because
that
it
out
is,
there.
yeah. So I would say this is also that you can also get a chicken sandwich and a bacon and egg sandwich. I mean, you can still get all the regular like sandwiches, but if you are looking for a very unique ingredients experience, this is the place to go.
Right.
And
Um,
they're more like a bigger restaurant, like as far as they are huge for Almuerto, but they are also a restaurant that's open at night and you can get great tapas and stuff there as well. But their sandwiches are famous as well.
I gotcha. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to try that out next time you invite me up to
Are
the
you gonna do the
mountains.
pig ear? You're pretty
Probably not pig
adventurous.
ear.
You're pretty
I
adventurous.
am
Yeah.
adventurous, but I mean, just a plate of cartilage doesn't sound so
No.
fun for me. But like the kiosk place, they have a wider range than you would find in the city, but they don't have the horse meat, but they do
Hmm.
have many ingredients that you wouldn't find at more like kind of the street vendor places or the
Yeah.
regular
Yeah.
cafes where
Yeah.
it's just like some hamon or a tortilla on a bocadillo or
Yeah.
some calamari. They have more interesting ones, and they are big. And I like to go with a few people because then everyone orders a different one, and you split them in
And
half and you
that's what we
share them.
did. They just brought out a bunch of things. And I will say, from my personal experience, and when people recommend restaurants, one of the things that is kind of a bar that you need to reach in order to be recommended is that they have a good tortilla. And that is a
Hmm.
really good tortilla that's kind of, when we ordered, like that's kind of soft in the middle. I think we ended
Hmm.
up switching because I was like, I want mine really soft in the middle, and yours was a little more cooked. And they do
Right.
vary, but it was really good. And I got like you were nice enough to switch with me and give me the softer one because it was my
Right.
first time there. So he was a very good host, and it was delicious. So that is kind of one of those things, is like, how good is the tortilla, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, now we're fed. Where are we headed
Hmm.
off to next?
I think we have
Where's our number
talked,
two?
yeah, number two. Thank you. Let's do the numbers this time. We might get better at that. Number
We
two,
might.
we have talked a little bit about how there's not really a secondhand sort of market in Spain for things, and that is true. But
Right.
there is a thrift store called the Rastrel thrift store in Valencia that is about the only and biggest place that you can go digging for things. I
Right.
have been there, and it's quite large. And there's probably, like any thrift store, there's a lot of stuff you don't want and don't need, and then you have to.
Right.
This is a fun. You've eaten, go and just spend some time there. This isn't rush in and find your the greatest thing
Yeah,
type
you can't
experience.
go in wanting something.
No,
You have to go in leaving with things you didn't know
that's
you need to
that
have,
is
right?
exactly it. Yes, very well put.
And it is a cavern, and it's a lot of stuff that you're
Hmm.
like, ooh, ooh. A lot of grandma's Lladro. If you're a
Yes.
Lladro collector, you can get some good deals on Lladro. But like a lot of places here, it is off the beaten path. And if you walk by it, there's two. There's one that's got like children's books and clothes, and you
Hmm.
think that's it. No, the one we're talking about, you have to go down the alleyway a bit and find this little warehouse, or like entrance to a
Hmm.
bigger warehouse, but it's
Right.
like this little entrance. You wouldn't know it's there, so you kind of really have to stumble upon it. And if you think it's the other door, then you've hit the wrong place, unless you want
Right.
children's clothes.
No, that's
But
that's true.
but what I didn't know about this place, and I had just found out, I had bought a painting there a long time ago, and for like 20 euros, like it's the best find I ever had. But this is actually an organization, like it is a charity,
Hmm.
and they will go to people's homes and pick up stuff. It's all about the reducing, reuse, and recycling, and so the shop is set up to help pay their bills, which I thought is
Yeah, and I do
great.
I do think that's apparent when you go through it, because we had just I found it right after we bought our house, and our house still had some old furniture in it that took us a bit of time to sort through and get out, and some really
Hmm.
interesting light fixtures and things like that. And when I was
Right.
like, I got excited about this place, and I went down there, and I was like, this looks like all the stuff we just got out of our house. So I was a little disappointed because it wasn't, I was hoping for maybe a more modern, like, I don't know, maybe, or even retro old, like 60s or
Yeah, you
70s
got to dig
stuff.
for those
Yeah, yeah,
finds.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the right time for me, but yeah.
And I have a feeling, since it's the only one, there are like-minded people that probably scour that
I would
place every
imagine.
week to find that place, because we
Yeah.
do have vintage stores like in Rusafa. For if you want to spend 50 euros on an old t-shirt, you can do that there. They're probably going to those kind of places to find the
Right.
thing,
Yeah, but we do not have like car boot sales, garage sales, anything like that here. And they're even like, I tried to set up a Facebook page to get, people in Zena's school to start sharing uniforms and stuff. And I couldn't even really get it off the ground, which is like
Hmm.
shocking considering, between England and America, we're really good at sharing and selling and getting the secondhand
Right.
stuff. So it's definitely a cultural thing that's a bit difficult to get into here.
Very much so. But I'd like to add one last note to this. And when we were decided we're going to do this episode, and I researched this place, this is going to tie us back into our trash sorting
Oh,
episode.
yes.
Remember when we were talking about that there's a bin that you could recycle clothes in?
Hmm.
Do you remember we were
Yeah,
talking about
yeah.
that? There's one for oil, one for this, and then there's every so often there's one for
Yeah.
clothes. This is the organization that takes those clothes that you donate.
Oh, right. Oh, that's interesting.
Who knew? I knew now.
I
I
mean, that
know
would make
now.
sense because they are the only place that is selling secondhand stuff. So
Right.
that does make
And what
sense.
they do not use, they send to recycling to recycle the fabric,
Hmm.
which is like amazing. So I mean, I thought that was kind of cool.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Okay, so for number three, I feel like everything's like a spit's distance from each other, because this is all over kind of by the Alameda area.
Yeah.
Is There's a place called the Jardines de Monforte,
Hmm.
which is this little garden that you again have to stumble across.
Yeah.
It's actually quite large, but it's hidden down a side street with buildings surrounding it, so you kind of just don't know it's there, and you
Yeah.
stumble upon
And
it.
it's also really close to the Jardins del Real, which of course everyone goes to. So you
Right.
don't think, oh, there might be another one just around the corner, because by the time you've walked around those large gardens, you're kind of done with gardens, I
Right.
guess.
It's time to go for another bocadillo. I mean,
Exactly.
it's but this one has a really cute history. I mean, I don't know. It's been around for a while, but it was originally an orchard
Hmm.
owned by Jose Vic.
Big, yeah.
It was a baron. And then in 1849 it was purchased by the Marquis de San Juan, and he then transformed it into a neoclassical romantic garden. And versus the Gardens Real, right? The Jardins Real, This is very like it's got a couple sections to it, but it's got like the trimmed hedges and that kind of geometric formation. It's compact and what's the word I'm looking for? More idealistic or
Yeah, with the
ideal? What's the
statues and
word?
pools and fountains and the cute little, yeah, like you said, sort of walkways and things. It's a little it's something you would imagine that you might have behind your French villa, right?
Exactly. And since it's surrounded by all these other buildings, it does feel this like kind of private where and it feels more serene where the Jardins de Real is much more of a public park. This
Right.
feels like
Maybe your private garden, maybe.
yeah,
And
if you wanted to paint a
yeah,
picture, you could do that there.
maybe, yeah. And then so this garden was acquired by the Montforte family, who then donated it to the city of Valencia in 1950, and now it's obviously a public open to the public in 1973. So
Right.
a very, you got to love it when people do that because that's right
You
in the
do.
middle. They could have just built another apartment building there, right?
And I've noticed that Valencia has there's compared to other places, there's a lot more of paving over history here,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if that's the right word, but the city has grown and we'll talk about in the future how they've destroyed royal palaces and all these things, right? For progress, but this is still there
Yeah.
and it is has all the statues and the fountains and the pools. Like it's definitely a serene place.
Right. And there's even a bonsai exhibition garden. So
Right.
that is one of those things that I wish I had the patience and desire to actually do those because it looks very relaxing to take care of bonsai trees. But really,
Right.
it's maybe more relaxing to go look at the ones that other people have cared for. So you can
I
do that
agree with
there.
that. And also here is the house of the Montefiore family. I don't know much about it, but it's a beautiful um Frenchy looking
Rococo style
house,
house.
Rococo style house. Yeah.
So it fits.
So that's
So
there.
therefore, you can go sit there and imagine that you live in that little French villa, Rococo style, with your little garden and your statues and everything, and have a nice moment there.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you're right
It's an escape.
because the other parks are much more like everyone's running around, people are riding their bikes or something, and they're public. They
Hmm.
maybe got a little cafe or something where you can sit and some nice things, but this is maybe more of a quiet place to go, I would
I
say.
think it's a retreat from the chaotic life of the big city.
Number four, we're going to talk about a few different places that you can go climbing up and see some views.
Yes. So it's not the place that's number four, it's the
It's the
activity. Climbing
activity.
Valencia.
Where to get the views? I mean, there's a lot of places you can go and like eat and get views and things like this, but these are quite fun. A couple of these are very good if when you have friends coming to visit because you can climb up some of these towers and get some amazing views of the city. So maybe we start with the court towers and the Serrano towers, as those are kind
Sure.
of sort of
So
related ish.
I've walked by the Serranos, but I've climbed the
I've
court.
walked by the
So
court and I've climbed the Serrano. So there we go.
potato, potato. So why don't you start with the Serrano towers because they are kind of the quintessential Valencian towers, right? They're on the postcards.
Yes, they are
They're
on the postcards, and I will say that is one of the places that if I have friends in town, I'll drive in and park on the other side of the Torria, so that when you walk over
mhm,
that bridge, you have this really beautiful like view as you're walking towards the tower, and then the other side of the tower there is a really nice part of Valencia. I mean, it's old part of Valencia. So overall, you
mhm.
just get this very lovely Valencian experience if you come into town that way, if you're not already in there. And it was built in
Right.
1392, and it is it is a symbol of the city, like you said, postcards, everything, you've definitely seen it. And they do a lot of events there with like fireworks. So if I mean, the fireworks everywhere, but it is one of the places that you'll get fireworks.
Right, especially during Fias. I think they like crown the Fias queen there, or the start of. There's the thing that goes on. There's a big firework display, so you watch from the tree, and the whole thing's aglow, and it's very
It
pretty.
is very, yeah. And it's also what's nice. And now when you walk up it, it's just stairs. It's not like a big hike. It's just, I mean, you're going up to like the first floor, maybe the second, there's a first floor and a second floor sort of viewing area. And
Right.
it's right on the Torria. So you get a really, really nice view of the city from there. On one side, you're seeing the Torria Park and all this part of it. And from the other side, you're seeing the old town with all these beautiful roofs, and you can see some, sort of church blue sort of roof,
Hmm.
like domed roofs, and I mean it's just really really pretty up there. And I thought that's a lovely place to go up, and it's maybe €2, and then they have some free days. But as far as
Hmm.
what it was, is it was an entrance to the city, and there was
Right.
obviously a wall, and they pulled the wall down and they left that, and it was used as a prison for nobility and military. So only sort of rich people and you know sort of I guess
And it is out of the two towers, it is the more noble
it
looking one,
does.
and that kind of classic noble, very castle
Hmm.
looking
And it feels like that
and stuff.
inside too. So I don't know, I don't know if that makes a difference because I haven't seen the inside of the other one. So,
So I'll tell you about the other
hmm
one. So the Torres de Court, or the Court Towers, which is on the city side. So again, the wall wrapped around the city, and this was an entrance on the opposite side of the
hmm
old town. And I will say, and this was built. This took longer to build. So they built it between 1440 and 1493, and it has seen a lot.
hmm
And there are cannonball holes and musket shot holes on the walls. Like you see, it's eerie and magnificent at the same time that you can see all the history.
So this is if the city was getting attacked, it was getting attacked from that side for some reason or another, I guess.
Well, because it wasn't on the river, it didn't
Oh,
have that
that's
natural
true.
barrier.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they were coming from the ground, and just like your towers
hmm
was the prisoner for nobility, at one time this was a prison for prostitutes. So I
You one or
mean,
the other. You don't mix the people. If you're going to prison, but you get a nicer experience apparently if
I
you're
guess
nobility.
so. Now this one, I haven't been to the other one, but it's not so much rooms. You climb up, and then there's a first floor viewing area, and then you climb to the roof, and it's like two big, like cavernous spaces on the first floor, as it were,
hmm
on each side, very open air. So I don't know what it looked like before, how they were
Yeah.
housing the prisoners, but it is a daunting climb in that the stairs are very wide and very steep, and there's only a handrail on one side,
Oh
and
wow.
you don't
Okay.
notice it going up. We were fine, but I mean, my butt was a little sore. My thighs were hurting on the way
I
up,
don't
and
remember
then it's
that in
like
the other one, so I think the stairs going up and down in the Serrano Towers is maybe a bit nicer,
a
perhaps.
bit nicer,
Yeah.
a more pleasant experience. And
hmm
then you like climb stairs. And I think spiral staircase and does give amazing views of the city, and like you said, the blue tiled roofs of the
hmm
churches and things.
Yeah.
And so that's magnificent. But on the come down, that last steep stairs, which the
Yeah.
initial climb on the way down, I sat down on my butt a few of them because I got a little vertigo because they're very
Oh,
steep, and then I was like,
really?
"Where's the handrail?" I was like going down the middle, and I was like
Okay.
inching myself to the wall so I could
Well,
grip
that's good
on that on
advice
the way
then. It's
down.
maybe not for everybody. Yeah.
Right. And I've taken many people there now, and so now I just sit in the cafe down below. I'm like, "You can wave to me
Go
from
have
the roof."
fun.
I would like to also add about this is that it is like the Toronto's. It's very nominal fee, like €2 with some
With some
free
free
Sundays,
days.
holidays kinds of
Yeah,
thing.
because I'm saying I've never
And
paid, so I don't know totally by accident that we must have always gone on these free days without ever realizing it, maybe a Sunday or a Monday
right.
or whatever it is. So when you were like, I think you have to pay for it, I was like, you do?
And what's amazing is because I think there was like four gates to the city, and when they were tearing down the walls, they destroyed them because they
hmm
were expanding the city. And these two were saved because they were being used
As
as
prisons,
prisons at the
right?
time.
So I guess we can thank that process.
Right.
So the last one in our number four of climbing places is the Valencia Cathedral and the El Miguelet Tower, which I have done several times at this point. And
Several times. So you
yes,
like punishment. Okay.
well, it's one of those things where it's a good exercise. It is not for everybody. It is 207 steps, and you also have to come down, which is also, I mean, it takes a while. It's not that it's hard to go
Hmm.
down, except the steps are actually it's the opposite there. You're going around and around it's a tower. So you're going around and around in a circular staircase, and that takes
Hmm.
its toll like on just monotony. And there are some little like some tiny little sort of places you can peek out as you're going up to see what you're getting yourself into, but when
Hmm.
you get to the top, you really are above everything. So it is
Oh wow.
definitely worth it, but it is a hike and it'll take about 20 minutes or so to get up. and then you hang around there and then you can come down. So it's definitely worth it, but it is not for everybody. This tower is 50.85 meters high, and it is,
Okay.
we've seen pictures, it's a Gothic style bell tower, and it was built between 1381 and 1424. It's spectacular. The inside, I mean, you can see the steps have those kind of, it's sort of compressed or whatever, where the stone has been walked on a lot.
Oh
So,
yeah, 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 yeah,
the
yeah.
steps,
But they've
and
been eroded,
they
as it
have
were. Is that the word
eroded,
you're
and
putting?
so I mean, and you're going up and people are sort of coming down and you're a little jealous of those people.
Right.
And
We're like, how many more? How far do I
yeah,
have to
and
go?
you can kind of stop. You can stop and let people buy. So people that are going
Hmm.
slowly will let people buy, but it is not big enough that you can imagine that you can just be like, I'm going to go faster than everybody else and just plow through everything. That's not going to happen.
Hmm.
But if somebody has stopped to take a rest, you can definitely make it by
It's
them,
wide enough for you to pass someone, but not
but not
necessarily
past
the whole
everybody.
family four abreast
Yeah,
going
no,
up.
that's not happening. And then they have these little traffic lights. So they do regulate who's going in at the bottom and in at the top based on these
Okay.
traffic lights. So you can only go down or up when the light is green. So you go up, and there's quite a large square area at the top, and you can see everything. And we went up at sunset one time, and it was really lovely. It's definitely worth it if you can make it up there.
Okay.
Highly
Okay.
recommend. I think this is also like, well, this was maybe €3, I think.
Okay. Well, I haven't done it, and I will say because I didn't realize that it's a separate fee than the
Hmm.
cathedral entry, which the cathedral
Right.
entry is a little bit more
So we
expensive
didn't do the cathedral because we did this.
because you
So
did
yeah, and
that.
that is probably, it's going to take you an hour and a half to get up there, spend some time up there, come down. So that's a
Right.
significant amount of time, and then we were kind of done.
And then when you were tired, so number five,
Hmm.
since if you needed more green space, there's the botanical gardens of
I do love a
Valencia.
botanical gardens.
So do
Yes,
I. I
and
do
this
too.
is this is nice. But yeah, if you love plants and everything, this will keep you happy.
It will. And again, almost like the Monforte Gardens, it is more tranquil. You will miss it if you don't
Hmm.
know what you're looking for because the entrance almost kind of looks like a modern office building kind of thing
Right.
or a modern or community center. You don't really notice like you're heading into
Right.
these grand
And it
gardens.
is not
But
the botanical gardens of like ones I've been to in Washington, D.C. or Kew Gardens in London. We're not on that
right.
level, but it is an incredibly well taken care of, beautiful little spot.
Right, right, and a tranquil space
Hmm.
too, and I think that was like €3 or €4 to get in it. It's not expensive, and if you want to just take a book and read and
Yeah.
watch the birds fly and have a piece, like I think
Go
that's
look at some
really
plants that
good.
you don't want to take care of, but you can
Yeah,
appreciate that
yeah,
somebody else did.
and they had been, I think, growing herbs and all that kind of stuff for hundreds of years there, right? Like it's been an ongoing space,
Yes, I think they
correct?
opened, I mean, this is a mid 18th century, so they opened that site, and then the records show that they were growing medical plants for I think at the medical education at the university since maybe
Okay,
1462. This is a long time. So they've had this sort of gardens, and then it's been used for a lot of things, like you said, with medical herbs and using it for cultivating herbs for medical use, I think. And then in 1567, the municipal government of the city of Valencia appointed Joan or Juan, I don't know,
Juan, yeah,
Juan
Juan.
Placha as doctor of medicine with the task of collecting species. So very interesting, and that was his garden to use and
Oh,
teach
okay.
through there. So kind of relate, and I don't know if it's still related to the university, but it might be, I
It
suppose,
might be.
for
Yeah.
educational
I don't know.
purposes.
We're not experts on everything. We're just giving you things as we see them.
We're not experts on anything. We're just
On
trying.
anything.
We're doing our best. So that's cute. Number 6 is very fun. This is the Cat House
This
Cafe
have you
place.
seen the cat house
We've
yet?
been, we've
Okay, yeah,
been.
we've it's a tourist, it's a people are in town.
Yep,
I have to take them
yep,
there.
yep, absolutely. It is very well. You explain, since you've probably been there more times than I have.
I think I was just there a couple weeks
Really?
ago. So, yeah.
I mean, it's
It's
cats, and especially if they're not
it's
yours.
the Casa de los Gatos, and it's by a couple museums. The modern one of the modern, well, actually both modern art museums are kind of over there. So if you're over there in that part of the El Carmen district, you can
Hmm.
stumble upon it, and it's just on the back side of this wall where this artist Alfonso Hueste Navarro had built this cat house because he was noticing cats coming and going and
Hmm.
stuff. And so there's a little hole in the back wall of the yard of the house. And that's where he sculpted this house on, and the wall is blue, but the house itself is a Valencia. It looks like it's a miniature version of a typical building found
Oh,
in the El Carmen
right.
district, right?
And who's feeding the cats and keeping it as a nice restaurant cafe for them?
Well, I think who's ever on the other side of that wall, because there's a hole, and if you crouch down, you can see that that hole goes
Yeah.
back into the
But
space.
no, but random
Um,
people aren't doing that. Like, it's not one of those things where like you would go and leave some food. It's definitely being taken care of by some responsible people.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't. There's no sign that says "Please leave food,"
No.
or anything like that. And I will like to add, I have only stumbled upon it once with my daughters.
Oh, okay.
And this is for our listeners and people who are living here. They can chime in if they want to give us a shout out, because I'd like to know where it was again. There is another cat house
Oh, okay.
that my daughters and I stumbled on that was on the side of a building closer to like Avenue La Paz,
Hmm.
kind of over there. We haven't stumbled across it again, but it had, and it was in a more, I felt like it was a more modern area of town,
Hmm.
but there is another
But
one.
there is another
But
one. There
anyway,
might be multiple because I have to
there might be,
imagine that,
yes.
they're out here in the country. We have little colonies all over the place that are being, taken care of by local people in each village. So maybe several. So you'll go out, if you drive around, and you'll see a bunch of cats, and you'll see some empty containers and some water containers that people are clearly taking care of them. But this is a whole new level of probably taking what might
Right.
have been an abandoned building maybe or area and creating a whole home, restaurant, cafe, living space for
Right. I
cats.
mean, it does look like a little cafe for
Right?
cats. I mean, I mean, almost like a little table and chairs for them to sit at. But it's very cute. So, also about this, there's a inscription on it that goes. It's like a local legend,
Hmm.
and it's something about the four cats that survived a massacre ordered by El Cid.
Oh, a massacre of cats?
Cats, I guess. I mean, I
In
don't
1094?
know. 1094.
Okay. Well, I would imagine, yeah.
But
I mean, I could see. I mean, the cat population can probably get out of control really fast if it's not being maintained at all. So, yeah,
true.
I could see that.
Um, but there, yeah. So I mean, it is a cool space, and
Mhm.
it's very Instagram friendly, and it'll make your friends and family happy when they go back to know that they have
And
seen
your
this
kids will love
space.
it
I think.
probably too, right?
Yes.
If you have kids that love animals, it's a really unique place, I think.
Right. Right.
And then number 7, maybe you've done. So we've already established that we did not go into the Valencia Cathedral, and you did. What is in the Valencia Cathedral, apparently?
The search for the Holy Grail. Amazing.
Isn't that kind of
So
cool?
this is it's so cool. And I didn't know that until I moved here, and then someone
Me
told
either.
me, and
Yeah.
then and I was like, okay. And then
So I don't understand what all
we
these movies were about if the Holy Grail has been here in Valencia the whole time. So I'm
well,
a
there's
little
several
bit.
Holy Grails, and people are claiming to whose Holy Grail is the real Holy Grail. So the one in Valencia obviously is the real
Obviously
one.
is a real one.
Duh. And and the Pope has like one of the popes has actually drank from the chalice and acknowledged that this is a Holy Grail. I don't know if they
Oh, wow.
stated that this is the one, but like they acknowledge that this isn't a fraud. How
Well,
about
that's
that?
amazing. So, like I said, we didn't do the tour. So, when you do, like, give us a bit of an experience of what you see when you go in, because I haven't actually gone to see it. So, what's
Okay,
your
so we
experience?
got in So we got in for free because it's like €9 to get into the cathedral, but if you go during services,
Mm.
you can get in.
Oh,
And
okay.
so we had friends in town and we were walking and it was in the evening, like 5 or 6, and they just happened to have a service. And the friends that we were with were like, let's just walk in because they're not charging. Let's go. And so we walked in and we weren't the only ones that were there for the no charge because there was a lot of guards being like, no one's going in the pews. No
Uh-oh.
one's going in the pews because a lot of people walking around and they were like, put your cameras away. This is not
So
the
maybe
time for
this is not the
cameras.
tip that we want to give at this point, you know?
Well, the Holy Grail's not in the main
Okay.
worship space, so that's in a separate chapel. So in that room, so that you kind of walk behind in the back of the cathedral to go to the side chapel where the Holy Grail
Okay.
is, and it's this, it's this very medieval looking room, lots of stone walls, and then in the middle of this wall, way up high, is the Holy Grail, which is then been wrapped in gold, right?
Oh,
So it's
okay.
not just the agate bowl; it's now a big chalice with a stand and a
And
stem
it's
and
being
all
gold,
that
everything's
stuff.
gold plated at this point.
Well, no, I think it's
It's
solid
solid
gold.
gold. Oh, you said it's wrapped in gold.
Well, like the agate bowl is now resting inside this
Got
kind of
it.
like chalice frame of
Oh, I
gold.
see. Okay.
And that was done hundreds of years later or whatever. Whoever bought it
Right.
said this bowl can't just look like that if Jesus drank from it.
Right.
It has to be prettier,
Of
right?
course. That's how it goes.
But it is high up and far away, so it's not like you're getting up close to look at it. You're like, and it's gold, so it kind of glares back at you. So
Which I suppose it should. It should
right.
be like an experience where you get glared at with light and gold. So it's
Right.
worth seeing. It's kind of fun.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. Again, it's a bucket list item. You
Hmm.
can wow your friends and families to say you've seen the Holy Grail as you're watching Monty Python's
Right.
In Search of the Holy Grail. Been there, done
Yep.
it.
Oh, one of the best movies, definitely. Okay, so number 8, we have the Digna Gateway. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Well, it's double L, so
Yeah, but
it eludes me to see
there's
Vidinga.
no vowel after it. So I don't know. We'll leave that to the woman on Google to pronounce that.
Yeah.
Why don't you get us going? Because this is a very, I've been here. It's a lovely little sort of thing to see.
I've walked past it a million times
Not knowing.
without knowing what
Me
it
too. And it's a
is.
nice photo op, but you're like, that's cute, and now I know what it is.
And I'll be honest, I've taken a million
Hmm.
photos of it every time I walk by it because it's such the idyllic little narrow street, and then there's this arch in the
Hmm.
street. And I didn't know that's what this was. That this was originally, it dates back from 1400, and it was another wall around the city that separated the Moors from the
Hmm.
Christians, and so
The
that
gateway
was,
with no gate. This was.
and there's no gate, right? I mean,
Well, this explains why it looks like a lot of Moroccan streets where you might have an overhang between buildings and a little archway would look exactly like this.
Mhm. What I also found interesting is because you just see this archway and there's a building above it, so it almost looks to me like there's an archway through a
Hmm.
building. But what had happened is that in 1678, the person who owned the buildings on either side of it got permission to build a house over the arch. So that's why
Oh,
it
so it
looks
wasn't
that
sort of
way.
initially part of that, I guess. Interesting.
Right. It was just the wall, and someone's like, "Well, I own a house here and there, and I want to bring them together as one does."
And it's a very cute, obviously, it's an old part of town, and you're walking and you sort of come down these tiny streets, and then you turn around and you see this kind of interesting arch that doesn't really match
Mhm.
there's not a lot of arches in that way, like in the streets. And so it's,
Right, it does give that kind of
yeah, it
Suki
really does.
feel
Yeah.
to it,
And there's some
yeah.
cute little cafes and things around in that area as well. So you can certainly enjoy a nice afternoon walking through those streets and seeing the gateway, which I'm not going to pronounce again because I
Right.
can't.
And then number 9 for our spooky lovers, which,
I love this. I am not spooky, but I do love this.
so we haven't been there yet. I'm just gonna say my youngest daughter and I, Paloma, both share a love, fascination, and excitement for cemeteries. And
Hmm.
like when we lived in Los Angeles, we went to all the cemeteries all the time. We were like,
Did you
"Oh,
did
we're past
the
it. Should
did
we
you do the movies? You did the movies at the Hollywood Cemetery?
We did
Yeah,
do the
because
movies at the
that's
Hollywood
fun.
Cemetery, but this is like we would like there'd be a field trip on the east side of town, and like there's a cemetery. Should we stop in? Oh yeah, we're stopping in. You know, because like if I was like chaperoning a field trip. Anyway, so this is the the general cemetery of Valencia. I'm not going to try it in Spanish right now, and they offer the El Museo de
Hmm.
Silencio. So it's walking tours, and they have like 4 different ones that you can choose from. I think there's an
Yeah.
app. You want to tell me about it because you've been here and I have not. So
So this one is unique for me because it is where we are and where I've driven around, which is a large area around this Valencia part of Spain. I don't see a lot of cemeteries like I see in England and America, where it's large sort of plots of land with headstones and
mhm.
all these things going on. And this one, and that is what this is. We see a lot of the walled areas where you don't see anything unless you go in through the gates. It's like high walls.
Gotcha.
So this is one of
Right.
those things where you drive by and you see that it's a cemetery, right? It's that kind of
Right.
more,
Right.
and there's loads of headstones, and they have, a lot of notable graves, and good, interesting architecture. And with these tours, they have really the 4 tours, like you said, and each one will talk about different lives of people that are buried on these little walking tours that you can take, which I think is like
hmm
really fascinating and fun. And there's just a lot of interesting, what do you call it, the funeral art, what do you call that,
The funerary
funerary
art,
art.
which is
I
what we
love
love. Like
that.
that's why we love museums to see who's got a pyramid, who's got a
Right.
column, who's got a
So
family crypt. I
so you
love
have
that
these
stuff.
like unique mausoleums there. There's a neo-Egyptian pyramid for one family. So there's a lot of very interesting stuff going on here. So I think it's just a really, really interesting tour, like a self-guided tour. You can have guided tours and self-guided tours. So you go ahead.
Yeah, so I think the museum has like an app where they have like kind of like their own
Mm-hmm.
set. So there's one where it's just you can do a path of just popular people, and and like included on that tour you would find the Toreros Aparici, which were 2 bullfighting brothers who both died during bullfights 2 years apart from each
Oh,
other.
okay.
So I mean that's like
Yeah,
gruesome, but
there we
Spanish
go.
history. It's
Yeah.
kind of cool. And then they have an influential people tour.
Do we have names that we recognize there, perhaps?
We do. I mean, this episode is about tying other episodes into this one, right? Cross referencing. Joaquin Sorolla is buried
And if you
here.
don't know who he is, which I'm sure you do, go check out our Poco about him.
Yes, we have a one dedicated to him solely. Then there is one for the 6 women who left a mark on Valencian
Hmm.
history and culture, and including the Marquesa de San Juan, who became depressed after tending to a garden, which later became known as the
Which garden?
Jardines de
There we
Montforte.
go. It's all tying in together, all of our
It's all
little
coming
numbers here.
together.
Oh, wait, there's one more. There's one more.
There's one more, and then there's the largest one, which is the 18 lives and 18 silences, and this was the most comprehensive history. So I think it
Hmm.
touches on all of these people and plus others to.
Right. So the last one, number 10, is a personal passion, weird passion of mine, which I've just from driving around in Spain. Their roundabouts are insane.
Right. And I will concur that this is weird because Tanya loves roundabouts and I'm still never going to get the hand of it. And we'll do a whole roundabout episode and
Um,
she can
let's just
try to
say
convince me then.
you need to be driving in Spain first before you can even start to worry about roundabouts.
Maybe that's why I'm not driving in Spain because I am worried about
Well, and I
roundabouts.
will say some of the ones in the city obviously are huge, and they
Hmm
have, 4, 5, 6 lanes, and they don't really delineate them. So it can be a little interesting. I obviously grew up in England. I'm used to roundabouts, but if you're not, definitely look at how to drive them, and don't be just staring at the artwork in the middle,
right.
because every single roundabout that I have seen, even the tiny ones, are at the very least properly landscaped with irrigation and some interesting plant or some interesting little paths going through it,
hmm
if they've done nothing to it. And then, like, over in Lake Sagunto, they have some beautiful ones with like boats made out of mosaic with little
hmm
waves, like sculptures all with mosaic on them. I mean, just gorgeous. And they're often sort of in somehow related to that town or whatever's going on in that town. They will,
Hmm.
so they are obviously finding artists and having them,
I mean, I
decorate
will say,
them.
last night we were in this tiny little town, Bon Reposi Mirambella, I think that's how you
Hmm.
pronounce it. And we were in the cab coming home, and it passed this roundabout, and there was this tiny little, like, little pagoda-y type
Right?
statue in the middle of this roundabout, in the
Yeah.
middle of like this town, in the middle of like kind of, I don't want to say nowhere, but I mean, it was just like, okay.
They're very serious about it. I mean,
Yeah.
something that I noticed, and even here in Nacra, we have like when you come into the town, they've got these massive stone letters of the name of the town with like a waterfall and stuff. I mean, it's
Hmm.
like they're not messing around with their roundabouts. So we can't get into all of them, but we did pick a
Right.
couple that we liked in the city. And I think the first one, there's a lot of public art. So we're going to do a public art and then a non-public art one. And this is the Dama Iberica. Okay, so this one is enormous,
I
right?
concur. I will agree.
You cannot miss it. When it is a big roundabout, but this statue piece of art is 18 meters high, and it is blue. It is made up of 20,000 small cobalt blue pieces of little
Tiles, right?
tiles, and it's weird and spectacular. It's all I can say.
I mean, we call it the Blue Princess Leia because
That's
it
what it
kind of
looks
has.
like. It's what it looks like. It's over by the IMED Valencia. So if you ever driving out in that way, you've definitely seen it,
It's like the modern part of the city to welcome you into town, right? It is
right?
a big roadway in. It's the big
Yeah,
the
it is a sculpture by Manolo Valdez, and it is a monument that is tributed to the Dama de Elche, which is an Iberian limestone sculpture that
hmm
was made between the fifth and fourth centuries BC.
I believe we talked about that in our Museums of
We
Madrid
did.
episode.
Yeah, so you can go see that and then go see this.
Right.
You will
and
see
and
it. So this is a very modern version of that. You can see the comparison, but Princess Leia also.
right, precisely. And also the blue, the cobalt blue is to remind people of the blue domes of the city, as we had talked about
Yes.
earlier. That there's
Hmm.
lots of blue tiled churches and buildings
Yes,
here.
yes, absolutely. So it is a nice intro to the city when you're coming, like when we drive down the autovia into the city from that area. That is one of the first roundabouts you see, and you can see this sculpture from like a mile away
Right,
as you're coming down.
it is pretty impressive. And then the other one we're going to mention is the Porta de la Mar. And I love this one because it's like our own little Arc de Triomphe in
Hmm.
in
In the middle of a
Valencia.
roundabout,
In the middle of a roundabout.
and not
And a
just
lot of stuff happens at this roundabout. This is a
yes,
very central location for, dare I say, fireworks.
yes, and it's not just. I mean, it's all landscaped as well. I
Hmm.
mean, it's not. It's
And there's a park adjacent to it,
it's
across from
crazy.
it. Yeah, it's beautiful, but that was built in 1946 as a monument for the victims of the Spanish Civil War. So
Hmm.
there's some heartfelt history there, and there is a
Right.
cross in the middle of it.
Yes, and that is, obviously commemorating that, but it is a replica of another one that stood in the city beforehand.
Right, another
So,
arch,
but this is
right.
a replica. This is not, I mean, it's old enough, but it's not that old. And it has three arches, and then
Hmm.
above the arches, there are four reliefs by the sculptor Vicente Navarro Romero, and those represent courage, abnegation, peace, and glory. So you have a very, like, if you get close up to it, which I haven't, I've
Hmm.
just driven around it like a
Right.
lot. But
We've
if I
walked
were to
by
stop
it.
and go in, then I think it would be like a lot of details in it if you have the time to do that.
It's
But
very pretty, and I will say at the end of the July festivals, they did the final night fireworks there,
oh, okay, nice.
and they did a carafok, which is those kind of statues that are on fire with the sparklers. We've talked about
Oh,
those
yeah,
before.
yeah.
So it
Hmm.
started with that, and then the fireworks, but the fireworks were all let off by the arch, and we had my friend from London visiting, and
Hmm.
we went to it, and she was blown away because the whole arch is now lit up in fireworks and colors, and the
Yeah,
shadows behind it in the foreground. So it was gorgeous.
spectacular.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So those are the little those are the two roundabouts, but let me tell you, every roundabout is worth talking about. So we
I
might
think we'll do a roundabout episode
I
about the
think
public arts that we can
I think we
see,
might
right?
do. Yeah, because it's kind of like their own museum. The roundabouts are the kind of a traveling museum there in the sense that they
Hmm.
really do get very interesting sculptures and other elements, artistic things in these roundabouts. So I love it.
All right. Well, I think that's our 10 off the beaten path things to see in Valencia.
Absolutely. I think we're done. We'll have to find 10 more. I'm sure there's loads more, but that was the first ones that we kind
This
of
could be a
like.
beginning of a series. Who knows?
It might be. Well, hasta luego until next time.
Hasta luego, Tanya. Hey, can't get enough of us? Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Ospain Podcast.
And on our website, ourspain.com, which we will be updating with exciting new things as we grow.
We would love for you to message us with any topics you would like to hear about.
See you next time.
Bye.